Now, royal insiders are quietly talking about a powerful moment that left William completely stunned, and yes, even in tears. The transformation of Princess Charlotte left everyone within the palace walls utterly speechless. But what exactly happened, and why did it touch the royals so deeply? Watch until the end, and do not forget to subscribe for more heartfelt royal stories. There is something truly remarkable about the bond between Princess Charlotte and Prince William. It goes beyond the usual royal formalities and appearances. This is about a father who clearly sees his daughter for who she truly is. Many people say that you can tell a lot from a look, a gentle touch, or a small gesture. And when William and Charlotte are together, those little things speak volumes. One of the sweetest details that many royal enthusiasts adore is the personal nickname William has for Charlotte. It is a delicate French term that means small and sweet. It is not something shouted in front of cameras or meant to impress. It is whispered in private, filled with affection and warmth. That is the kind of bond they share, genuine and deeply rooted in true connection. Childhood can be one of the most emotionally complex periods for any family, and certainly one that no family should navigate alone. From the moment Charlotte gave her first confident wave to her consistent presence at major events, William has watched her with visible pride. But one particular moment captured not just the attention of the public, but also touched William so deeply that it brought tears to his eyes. This moment had nothing to do with titles or crowns. It was about watching his young daughter take a monumental step and realizing just how quickly she was growing up. Their shared moments are not always grand or staged. Sometimes, it is just a hand on the back, a glance exchanged in a crowd, or a small gesture like fixing a strand of hair during a public ceremony. It is those everyday moments that make their relationship feel so authentic, even under the intense spotlight of royal life. And that is precisely why this story matters. It is not just about who they are, it is about how much one little girl has changed and how profoundly her growth has moved her father. And let us assure you, this is only the beginning. What happened next even took by surprise. Princess Charlotte has long been visible to the public, but something shifted recently, something even her own parents had not anticipated. It was not just her posture or the way she spoke. It was the presence she carried. The same little girl who once clung shyly to her mother's hand was now walking with assurance, as if she belonged on the world stage. William and I have been doing everything in our power to manage this privately, for the sake of our young family. The moment that truly struck everyone occurred during a visit to the Chelsea Flower Show. Charlotte was not simply accompanying her parents, she was participating. She asked thoughtful questions and seemed deeply engaged with her surroundings. William and exchanged a look that said everything. They were not just observing their daughter anymore. They were watching her evolve into someone new. It was an emotional realization, especially for William. The look in his eyes made it clear. He saw that his little girl was growing up rapidly. She had crossed a subtle but significant line, from playful child to a young person exuding poise and self-assurance. Royal observers began to notice the subtle changes. How Charlotte would walk confidently ahead during public appearances, how she scanned the crowd with a purposeful gaze, and how she always seemed to instinctively know when to speak and when to remain silent. What made it all the more striking was that none of it felt rehearsed. It was authentic. Behind that quiet confidence was a steady influence, a person who had helped guide Charlotte's journey in ways only a mother could. That person is Princess of Wales. Has always been more than a royal figure. First and foremost, she is a mother, and that maternal strength is evident in everything she does with Charlotte. While the cameras often capture grand royal events, it is the quieter, more intimate moments that reveal her true approach to parenting. Whether she is doing school drop-offs in denim trousers or whispering words of comfort during high-profile events, has mastered the art of keeping things genuine. One particularly touching moment happened at Wimbledon. Charlotte seemed unsure of herself. Rather than offering a polished, performative reaction, simply brushed a lock of Charlotte's hair behind her ear and spoke a few comforting words. It was just enough, delivered at just the right time. Does not overload her daughter with royal protocol. Instead, she keeps things simple, preparing Charlotte for public appearances without turning them into rigid lessons. The result? Charlotte appears relaxed and genuine, never forced. She does not seem like someone trying to perform, she looks like someone who belongs. This parenting style is what makes influence so meaningful. It is gentle yet powerful. Her goal is not to raise the perfect princess. It is to help Charlotte become a confident, emotionally grounded young person who can navigate public life without losing her sense of self. Has long said that family comes first. And the way Charlotte carries herself in public proves that she is being raised with that very same value. But Charlotte's journey goes beyond careful parenting. There have been milestone moments, occasions that even left royal insiders at a loss for words. Every child has defining experiences, but when you are a member of the royal family, many of those moments happen under public scrutiny. For Princess Charlotte, those early steps were more than just personal memories. They became significant turning points, etched into the hearts of her family. One major milestone occurred when she transitioned from nursery school to Thomas's. This was not merely a school change, it was symbolic of stepping into a more prominent royal role. And she was not making that transition alone. Her older brother, Prince George, was already a student there. The sight of the two siblings walking in together told a powerful story of growing independence and sibling unity. Then came the public appearances. Who could forget Charlotte's confident wave during her first official event, or those adorable snapshots of her heading off to nursery school, dressed in her red coat and matching shoes? You could see the pride in William and's expressions. But perhaps the most moving moment of all came during the funeral of Her Majesty Queen Elizabeth II. Charlotte stood tall, with grace, and maintained her composure with a level of dignity far beyond her years. At that moment, people realized that she had stepped fully into her role. His gentle hand placed lovingly on Charlotte's back during that solemn event said everything. It was love, it was support, and it was the acknowledgement of her daughter's maturity. Yet what is even more impressive is how Charlotte's evolution extends beyond official duties. She is quietly becoming a central figure within her own family. Some children possess a presence that transcends their age, and Charlotte is certainly one of them. Inside the palace, she is not just the middle child. She is a steady presence, the one who brings calm, structure, and yes, a touch of playful mischief. Her relationship with her younger brother, Prince Louis, is the perfect illustration. Those close to the family affectionately refer to her as the Louis Whisperer. Whether it is during a formal event or a carefree afternoon in the garden, Charlotte always seems to know just how to keep him grounded. A quick whisper, a gentle hand to hold, just enough to help him stay centered. And Louis looks up to her. When Charlotte waves, Louis follows. When she stands still, he mirrors her. It is like a royal version of follow the leader, and Charlotte is the quiet leader guiding the way. Even Prince George is not immune to her influence. Although he is the future monarch, Charlotte often checks in on him during public engagements. It is subtle, but deeply telling. She has naturally stepped into a role of caregiver and companion. What is even more fascinating is how Charlotte's character is shaping William and's approach to parenting. Her empathy and confidence have encouraged them to support each child based on their individual personalities, not rigid rules. While she is clearly becoming a guiding force for her siblings, something larger is taking shape in the background. Her future is being thoughtfully prepared, and it is more open-ended than many people realize. When most people think about Princess Charlotte's future, they picture a life filled with royal ceremonies and sparkling tiaras. But William envisions something different. They want her to grow up with more than just responsibilities and expectations. They want her to have options. That is why her upbringing includes more than just royal etiquette. She is being taught practical life skills. Some reports even suggest she is receiving instruction in advanced driving and international diplomacy. It might sound intense, but it shows that her parents are planning for every possibility. They have made it clear that Charlotte will not be forced into a single path. If she decides to pursue a life beyond royal service, she will have their full support. That kind of thinking represents a genuine departure from tradition. Charlotte is growing up with the understanding that she can be both, a royal and a person with dreams of her own. Whether she chooses a public life or a private one, her parents are making sure she has the tools to succeed. And through it all, she is still a young girl, attending ballet classes, completing schoolwork, and enjoying time with her close-knit family. That balance is what will truly set her apart. So tell us, which moment from Princess Charlotte's journey touched you the most? Leave your thoughts in the comments. And remember to subscribe for more heartfelt stories about the royal family. Coming up next, another story that might just take you by surprise. Princess Charlotte, the youthful promise of the British monarchy, has once again astonished the public with her striking resemblance to the legendary Princess Anne. Despite the generational divide, they share more than just royal bearing. A unique bond seems to link them across time. Who would have thought that little Charlotte would absorb not only the formal customs of the court, but also the singular wit and fortitude of her first cousin twice removed? In this secret lies the thread that unites two eras. Let us explore how these two princesses are writing their joint royal narrative. Princess Anne, often set against the more conventional image of political spouses, is celebrated for her sharp, reminiscent of that wielded by her father, Prince Philip. Her candid, no-nonsense replies sometimes border on brusque, yet they reveal an authenticity rarely seen in public figures. Anne never resorts to calculated gestures to win over the press. She does not perform for headlines. Coverage of her is frequently critical. In her youth, she was described as stern and quick-tempered, traits deemed at odds with the genteel notion of a princess. In 1981, a documentary titled Princess Anne, Her Working Life aired, in which she confessed that she did not worry about pleasing everyone. When asked if she cared about being popular, she replied, "No, it is far too late for that." Upon reflection that local and national media might judge her differently, she agreed. Local journalists witness events firsthand, whereas national correspondents do not. Explaining her relationship with the press, Anne said, "I do not fit the image they have in their heads. I am simply not in the category they expect. I do not try to curry with journalists. I do nothing specifically for public consumption. If by that you mean I focus on those who approach me, then yes, my openness is all they will ever receive. But I never work for their advantage if it is merely a trick to satisfy editors. I do not see the point, especially if it is unrelated to my official commitments." On one occasion, while attending an equestrian event for riders with disabilities, a charity gathering later discussed on the Royal Family with Royalty podcast, Princess Anne greeted one young woman by remarking, "This is a royal princess," and then quipped, "You do not look very princess-like." The relieved laughter of all those present proved her point. Her is an icebreaker. During the National Carers Week held under pandemic restrictions, the royal family expressed gratitude via video link to British citizens caring for the chronically ill, the elderly, and those with disabilities. The Queen remarked on her delight at seeing all participants. Anne noted that her screen should show 6 faces. The Queen replied that she saw only 4. Anne teased, "Why even need me? You already know what I look like." Perhaps most famously, at an official reception at Palace, as the Queen lined up to greet visiting world leaders, including the President of the United States and his spouse, Princess Anne stood aside when summoned to join the procession. She simply shrugged and extended her arms, a silent protest that left photographers scrambling. Ultimately, she chose not to engage in the expected handshakes, underscoring her refusal to conform to every ceremonial demand. Princess Charlotte, daughter of Prince William and the Princess of Wales, exhibits a host of mannerisms and pastimes that recall her first cousin twice removed. Though years separate them, both women display qualities that continue the lineage of the British royal family. As the only daughter of Queen Elizabeth II, Anne has long been known as one of the most industrious and diligent members of the royal household, with a calendar packed from dawn until dusk. Charlotte, while still in her early childhood, is already being introduced to public life, accompanying her parents to solemn occasions. This budding interest in civic duties suggests she may one day follow in her cousin's steadfast footsteps. From a tender age, both Anne and Charlotte have been schooled in royal etiquette. Whether at formal banquets or public gatherings, their poise and familiarity with protocol mark them as true ambassadors of their family. Their unwavering composure and mastery of decorum ensure they always represent the crown with dignity. Among the shared passions of these princesses, classical ballet holds a special place. In 1957, dance instructor Jane Pritchard uncovered archival footage of a young Princess Anne successfully completing an imperial ballet examination. These rare recordings were omitted from the Royal Academy of Dance's official collection, but stand as testament to Anne's youthful devotion. Princess Charlotte, too, shows a keen affinity for dance. In 2017, her mother revealed that Charlotte adores not only ballet but also tap dancing, practicing diligently at home, often scampering about in tutus. On her birthday, she was treated to a private performance of Cinderella by the National Ballet of Canada, a gift that brought her immense joy. Their mutual dedication to ballet underscores the enduring cultural heritage of the monarchy and cements their intergenerational link. Sport has long been a unifying thread for the royal women. Princess Anne, the child of Prince Philip, inherited his passion for athletic. According to friends of the Duke, Anne spent countless hours alongside him on polo grounds, absorbing the nuances of the game and later focusing her own efforts on competitive achievements. Princess Charlotte, dubbed Daddy's Little Girl, reflects a similar zeal for physical activity, influenced by her father, Prince William, himself an ardent sportsman. Anne's sporting is impressive. In 1971, she claimed the individual title at the European Eventing Championships, and in 1976, she competed at the Montreal Olympic Games. Although a fall injured her leg, she completed the course, demonstrating that inner resolve outweighs adversity. Charlotte, still at the threshold of childhood, watches matches from the stands, absorbing the atmosphere and familial camaraderie that shapes her character. Fashion evolves, yet Princess Anne remains faithful to British tradition and elegance. As early as 1957, she was often photographed in a stylish green coat while greeting her parents. In a remarkable echo of that moment, during Christmas of 2023, Princess Charlotte chose a coat with strikingly similar features, double-breasted styling, and 6 prominent buttons, highlighting the continuity of royal sartorial taste. Anne's commitment to style extends beyond mere aesthetics. In February of 2020, at the presentation of the Queen Elizabeth III Fashion Award, she demonstrated her forward-thinking approach to attire long before conscious fashion became a widespread concern. Editor Edward of British Vogue praised her as a true fashion icon, observing that she embraced sustainable dressmaking before it was fashionable. As president of the British Fashion Council, Anne remarked with characteristic, "I continue to select fabrics and commission clothing because it gives me pleasure, and it supports our national craft of dressmaking." Away from royal duties, Princess Anne cherishes moments of privacy, especially seaside retreats along Britain's western coastline with her second husband, Vice Admiral Sir Timothy. These excursions, unencumbered by security detail, offer genuine respite from public responsibilities. Despite sharing the same mater as her brother, Prince Charles, in Scotland, Anne's memories contrast sharply with his. In Jonathan's biography, Charles recalled feelings of isolation at the school chosen by their father. Anne, on the other hand, has often praised the institution, noting its role in fostering resilience and self-reliance. Through her work with the Royal National Children's Foundation, she has witnessed young people from challenging backgrounds blossom, affirming the school's value. Had she not been a princess, Anne once admitted she might have pursued engineering. She remains a staunch advocate for unlocking women's potential, though she stops short of labeling herself a feminist. She also respects her nephew's choices. Witnessing Prince Harry's decision to step back from royal life, she understands the complexities of titles and believes that for him, personal growth outside official constraints was the right path. "A title brings its own burdens," she observed in an interview, "so I respect Harry's decision." Princess Anne commands public admiration for her diligence, integrity, and resilience. Beyond her formal designations, she is known for her quick wit. Her remarks often become viral sensations. On her birthday, the British populace hailed her as the finest Queen Britain will never have. Princess Charlotte is already demonstrating that she can carry forward the traditions by her courageous and industrious cousin. Do you see the likeness between these two remarkable royals? Share your thoughts. Do you find their similarities clear, or do you feel more anecdotes are needed? Your reflections are warmly welcomed. Princess Charlotte of England is not a royal heir in name only, but a genuine trendsetter in fashion, a celebrated socialite, and a distinguished member of British high society. Her everyday experiences are far more captivating than you might expect, from lavish holidays to elite education, and from bespoke couture to the cutting edge of children's wear. This young royal has already made her mark. Born into a lineage that stretches back centuries, Charlotte's world is defined by unparalleled wealth and privilege. Grand palaces, couture wardrobes, glittering jewels, and exclusive schooling form the vibrant tapestry of her early years. As the daughter of William, Duke of Cambridge, and Duchess of Cambridge, she is a direct descendant of monarchs whose reigns have shaped history. Her great-great-grandmother, Queen Elizabeth I, presided over an era of empire and transformation, guiding the monarchy into the modern age. Today, the British royal family's fortune encompasses not only financial assets, but a cultural and historical legacy spanning a millennium. Scattered across the United Kingdom are castles and estates, each a chapter in the nation's story. House and Balmoral Castle are not merely residences, but emblems of royal continuity and stability. From the moment of her birth at Mary's Hospital, a place that has welcomed royal infants for generations, Charlotte's life unfolded against a backdrop of splendor. News of her arrival captured global attention, with media outlets flocking to glimpse the heir. As a toddler, she was introduced to the finest things life can offer. Her inheritance is anchored by a portfolio of estates that serve as living monuments to royal power. Kensington Palace, an architectural marvel and royal home for centuries, provided the opulent setting for Charlotte's early childhood. Within its lavish apartments and manicured gardens, she spent her days immersed in a world of tradition. Beyond London's urban confines lies the pastoral beauty of Hall on the estate. Gifted to her parents by the late Queen, this private retreat allows Charlotte the freedoms of childhood away from prying eyes. There, in the spacious grounds and secluded play areas, she can explore and learn amidst tranquil surroundings. Scotland's Balmoral Castle, another royal family favorite for summer retreats, offers rugged landscapes and wide-open spaces where Charlotte can roam freely under the watchful eyes of her family staff. These estates, together with the Crown's priceless collection of crowns and orbs, symbolize both the monarchy's enduring heritage and the personal legacy that she inherits. Royal residences are further adorned by an unparalleled art collection, masterworks accrued over centuries. From Rembrandt to these treasures surround Charlotte with a cultural heritage that few children experience. They represent the intellectual wealth of a dynasty that values both tradition and progress. Charlotte's transportation is equally remarkable. State limousines, including Rolls-Royces and Range Rovers, ensure her travels are ensconced in comfort. The royal train and the Queen's private flights stand ready to transport her for public engagements or family holidays, reflecting the logistical grandeur that underpins royal life. As Charlotte matures, the duties awaiting her will become clearer. Her role transcends privilege; it embodies service, a principle central to the monarchy for generations. As a direct heir, she will be called upon to champion charitable causes, uphold public engagements, and personify the values of her family. The philanthropic work of her parents and grandparents, from mental health advocacy to environmental conservation, sets a precedent. Charlotte will be encouraged to develop her interests and dedicate her platform to meaningful impact. Her public appearances will strengthen diplomatic ties, support British interests, and underline the monarchy's commitment to service. In the era of digital media, Charlotte represents a bridge between tradition and modernity. Her every gesture, choice of attire, and charitable focus will shape public perception of the monarchy's relevance. Educated in constitutional history, public protocol, and the nuances of ceremonial versus practical duties, she is being groomed for a life of dignified engagement under constant scrutiny. Charlotte's social debut came at her christening at Mary Magdalene Church on the estate, a refined ceremony even more intimate than trooping but imbued with equal grandeur. In a delicate white gown, she appeared every bit the future princess as her parents looked on proudly. Even as an infant, Charlotte's wardrobe had economic influence. Dubbed the Charlotte Effect, her appearances in handmade shawls or classic knitwear have sent small artisans into global supply shortages within hours. Each public photograph ignites fierce demand across continents, turning simple children's garments into overnight sensations. This phenomenon extends beyond fashion trends. It underscores the power of royal endorsement in a digital age. Luxury labels and high-street brands alike vie for the honor of dressing her, and parents worldwide seek a piece of the fairy tale for their own children, blending haute couture with accessible fashion. The Charlotte Effect has democratized children's style, making traditional smock dresses, classic cardigans, and Mary Jane shoes coveted staples. Retailers anticipate her public outings and prepare to meet surges in demand, while marketers craft campaigns around any royal appearance. Tourism has also benefited. London's hotels, restaurants, and souvenir shops saw notable upticks when Charlotte was born, as visitors sought connections to the young princess and the storied locations of her family. Despite her years, Charlotte's fashion sense garners headlines. Floral dresses, tailored blazers, and coordinating hair accessories have become signature looks. Photographers capture each outfit change as though cataloging the next great style icon, complete with handbag collections and heirloom brooches passed down by her grandmother, the late Queen. Her personal life is equally steeped in heritage. Her full name, Charlotte Elizabeth Diana, honors her father's lineage, her great-great-grandmother Elizabeth, and the beloved Princess of Wales. Her christening water, drawn from the River Jordan, tied her to centuries of royal tradition. Importantly, Charlotte's position in the line of succession reflects a shift toward gender equality. After the Perth Agreement, she became the first female royal to retain her place ahead of a younger brother, heralding a new chapter for the monarchy. Her educational path began in a prestigious Kensington nursery, emphasizing play-based learning and social development. Photographed confidently on her first day in a navy blazer and white blouse, she immediately embodied the poised scholar. Next, she joined school in Berkshire, where annual tuition far exceeds average fees, reflecting her family's investment in world-class facilities, small class sizes, and holistic curricula. There, academic excellence pairs with lessons in character, equestrian pursuits like horseback riding, musical training, and competitive sports. Charlotte learns foreign languages, studies constitutional law and monarchical history, and hones public speaking skills, each a stepping stone toward future diplomatic roles. Philanthropic activities introduce her early to the values of service. Extracurriculars include classical ballet, echoing royal patronage of the arts, and equestrian events that link her to centuries of royal horsemanship. Upcoming chapters will likely see her transition to an elite boarding school, following her father and grandfather's footsteps. Programs in international relations, political science, and constitutional law will equip her for a role on the world stage. As she assumes more public duties, her education will be finely tuned to both uphold tradition and adapt to contemporary expectations. This glimpse into Charlotte's opulent world reveals a life balanced between fairy tale luxury and future responsibility. As she grows, she will continue to enjoy and display a lifestyle of privilege while preparing to serve her nation. Hello, my dears, and welcome once again to Royal Mirror, the place where we polish every gem of royal gossip until it gleams with the glow of truth. Today, we are unraveling a story that might just warm your heart quicker than the Queen's corgis can gobble up their supper: the utterly endearing connection between King Charles and Princess Charlotte. Let us begin with a little question. Have you ever deeply longed for something, waited many years, only to find it in the most unexpected way? That, in essence, describes King Charles's personal journey toward having a young girl in his life. When Princess Charlotte celebrated her 10th birthday last week, royal enthusiasts did not just witness another milestone. They were reminded of a full decade of one of the most touching grandfather-granddaughter bonds in the history of the House of Windsor. And in a family with more twists and turns than a season of your favorite drama series, that is no small claim. Now, take a moment and think back to the Victory Day commemorations on Monday. While little Prince Louis himself playing with the buttons on his father's uniform, bless his heart, Charlotte stood poised, composed, as though she had been performing royal duties for 5 decades, not merely one. At an age when most children are mastering birthday party etiquette, Charlotte already shows more grace than I can muster after 3 cups of coffee on a good day. But here is where things become especially interesting. King Charles was not simply beaming with typical grandparent pride. According to royal historian, the monarch once had a deep wish for a daughter of his own. Though his 2 sons are undoubtedly wonderful, the little girl he imagined never came until Charlotte. Not his daughter by blood, but in many ways the next best thing. I would say he has a very special relationship with his granddaughter, told People magazine, possibly the understatement of the century. It is like saying the Tower of London has a few interesting tales to tell, or that the Queen was fond of corgis. Still, how can we be sure this is not just another instance of royal commentators sipping tea and making grand assumptions with their pinkies raised? Well, in this case, we have it from someone quite close to the source, the late Princess Diana herself. In Morton's revealing biography Diana, her true story, the princess admitted something quite moving. After the birth of Prince Harry, Diana shared, "I knew Harry would be a boy because I saw it on the scan. Charles always wanted a girl. He wanted 2 children and one of them to be a girl. Poor Charles. The man destined to be king, it seems, could not will a daughter into existence, despite having access to just about everything else in the world. There is something reassuring about that, is there not? Even royalty cannot bend fate to their will. And yet, fate does have a peculiar sense of timing. A generation later, Prince William and Princess have not only 2 sons, but also a daughter, the jewel in the crown, one might say, who appears to have her grandfather wrapped around her little finger quicker than you can say constitutional monarchy. Still skeptical? Observant royal watchers, with sharper eyes than the guards at Palace, have noticed King Charles wearing what looks remarkably like a handmade bracelet. Not just any bracelet, but a friendship bracelet seemingly crafted by none other than Princess Charlotte herself. Now, I do not know about you, but the image of the King of England proudly donning a child's beaded creation while shaking hands with world leaders is the kind of wholesome, disarming moment I live for. Picture it, Charlotte seated at a small table, tongue poking out in concentration as she strings together colored beads for her beloved grandfather. And Charles, adorned in royal splendor, wearing it as if it were the most precious item in the royal vault. Honestly, it is enough to soften even the most hardened Republican heart. Of course, Charles is not the only one charmed by Charlotte. During the Victory Day ceremonies, while Prince Louis continued his reign as everyone's favorite unpredictable royal, Charlotte displayed a calm presence that had everyone whispering. Designer, who has had several encounters with the princess, could not contain her admiration. It is genuinely her personality. It is not an act. She appears confident and very at ease in herself and with her surroundings. That kind of maturity is rare, and she seems to embody it effortlessly. In simpler terms, Charlotte is not pretending to be a princess. She is living the part through and through. And is that not exactly the kind of daughter King Charles always imagined? Someone who carries herself with dignity, yet still sparkles with that impish charm that says, "I may be royal, but I am also enjoying it." Let us now consider Charlotte's upbringing, which is quietly revolutionizing what it means to be a modern royal. Instead of being sent off to some all-girls institution where one learns which spoon to use before tackling basic arithmetic, Charlotte attends preparatory school in Berkshire, right alongside her brothers. As explained, the monarchy has moved with the times. They no longer feel the need to separate boys and girls in their schooling. Integration is encouraged wherever possible. And thank goodness for that. Imagine Charlotte coming home from a traditional girls-only boarding school, trying to explain her day to Prince Louis, a boy who famously struggles to sit still during national ceremonies. Lessons in proper curtsying would likely fly right over his lively head. This more modern educational approach probably delights Charles, who, for all his traditional trappings, has displayed progressive instincts time and again. From speaking up about environmental concerns long before it was fashionable, to promoting interfaith dialogue and organic farming, the king has often been ahead of the cultural curve. Now, he has the pleasure of watching his granddaughter grow up with both heritage and modern values. a fusion of past and future, if ever there was one. But let us circle back to the heart of this story, that unshakable connection between a grandfather and granddaughter. There is something undeniably touching about a man who once longed for a daughter finding joy, unexpectedly and fully, in his granddaughter. It is as though the universe whispered, "Not yet, Charles. But here is something just as special, a little princess to carry your legacy forward with joy and strength." Watch them together, and you will notice it, a softness in Charles that was not always evident with his own children. Perhaps that is the true charm of all of the joy, none of the pressure to be the strict authority figure. Or maybe it is deeper, the fulfillment of a lifelong hope finally coming to life through Charlotte. And she seems to feel it too. Have you noticed how she tends to stand near him during public events? How her most radiant smiles often seem reserved for him? There is a warmth there that goes beyond formal duty, a connection deeper than protocol. One can imagine their private moments, Charles teaching Charlotte about the gardens or Charlotte proudly presenting her school projects. Perhaps they bond over their shared love of art. Charles is a skilled watercolorist, and who is to say what artistic talents might be emerging in Charlotte? Picture the two of them, the King of England and his little granddaughter, enjoying afternoon tea, chatting about Queen Elizabeth II, her great-grandmother. These are the quiet, unphotographed moments that make royal life feel truly human. And that, my friends, is what keeps us endlessly fascinated by royalty. Not merely the pageantry, the parades, or the palaces, but the deeply human connections behind the palace gates. A grandfather who once wished for a daughter now finds pure joy in a granddaughter. A little girl who grows stronger in the knowledge that she is loved not only as a royal, but simply as Charlotte. As she grows into her place in the royal family, this bond with her grandfather may become even more essential. Charles brings the wisdom of decades navigating royal expectations. Charlotte brings a fresh energy rooted in modern times. Together, they represent the bridge between tradition and transformation. So there you have it, Royal Mirror viewers, the touching tale of King Charles and Princess Charlotte. A grandfather's long-held wish, finally fulfilled in the most unexpected and beautiful way. If this story touched your heart, do the royal thing. Press that like button with the enthusiasm of a corgi leaping for a snack, subscribe faster than Prince Louis steals the spotlight, and ring that notification bell like it is the start of a royal wedding. And do share in the comments, what has been your favorite Princess Charlotte moment so far? Until next time, this is Royal Mirror, reflecting the shining truths behind the palace doors. Cheerio. After 7 years of devoted service, Princess Charlotte's personal bodyguard found himself dismissed under circumstances that left many astonished. But what she did next spread like wildfire around the globe, and for very good reason, read the headlines. "I trust her more than anyone else in the world, and I would take a bullet for her," Thomas declared, standing just beyond the gates of palace on what turned out to be his final day on duty. It does not seem fair. For 7 steadfast years, Thomas, now 41 years old, a former Special Air Service operative turned Royal Protection Officer, had shielded the little princess, first assuming responsibility when she was merely 2 years old. He had watched over her from the shadows during public engagements, royal tour, and private family outings no one else ever saw. He was more than her protector, he was her sanctuary. Within the strict world of palace protocol and unrelenting royal expectations, Thomas was the one constant who allowed Charlotte simply to be a child. Their bond was entirely unscripted and entirely genuine. They had rituals. He always arrived exactly 2 minutes before her morning school run. She always discreetly shared half of her shortbread biscuit with him at snack time. On long journeys, they communicated in a secret sign language born from her need to silently indicate discomfort during formal occasions, which blossomed into an entire repertoire of private gestures. And then it was over, without explanation, without ceremony, without farewell. Officially, the palace cited an internal reorganization and a new policy on long-term assignments. It sounded like boilerplate from a bureaucratic memorandum. Thomas had accepted it in silence. He simply handed over his identification card, received a curt handshake from the head of royal security and a folder stamped "Transition," and descended the palace steps for the final time. In his jacket pocket lay a small silver bracelet the princess had pressed into his palm just days earlier, engraved with a single line of text. 7 years. Thank you, Tommy. Elsewhere inside Kensington Palace, Charlotte was engrossed in her piano lesson, entirely unaware that the man who had protected her every waking moment was no longer beside her. When her older brother, Prince George, happened to mention Thomas's departure later that day, 9-year-old Charlotte did not wail or throw a tantrum. She simply fell silent. Her mother, Princess of Wales, noticed at breakfast the next morning that her daughter's usual cheerful chatter had been replaced by subdued quiet. When asked if she felt all right, Charlotte replied only, "I am simply tired," but recognized a deeper shift, something far greater than an ordinary childhood mood. Back in Kent, Thomas struggled to adjust to civilian life. He invested part of his modest savings in establishing a small security training school for young veterans, seeking structure and purpose in this new endeavor. Yet every so often he would glance at the silver bracelet on his desk and wonder how Charlotte was faring. He considered reaching out but feared breaching unspoken royal protocols. He convinced himself that she would soon forget him and moved on. He had seriously underestimated the strength of their connection. Charlotte, for her part, had not forgotten, not for a moment. She was not merely sad, she was mourning a loss she could not discuss openly. What could she say to the world? That her protector had vanished without even a proper goodbye. In private, she began a nightly ritual. After her bedside lamp was extinguished, she would pen letters, short, earnest notes on royal stationery. She never mailed them. Instead, she folded each one, tied it with a ribbon, and stowed it in a wooden box hidden in the bottom drawer of her desk. One note read, "Dear Tommy, I still imagine you walking behind me every morning on the way to school. I am sorry I did not get to say goodbye. I miss your stories. Love, Charlotte." Time marched on. The new bodyguard, Agent Liam Turner, 34 years old, a former MI5 intelligence operative, endeavored to forge a bond, but it was clear he did not understand Charlotte as Thomas had. He adhered strictly to protocol but lacked the warmth she depended upon. His attempts at humor were met with polite but clipped replies. At a charity gala for children, Charlotte was asked to deliver a brief speech. As she stepped to the podium and surveyed the expectant crowd, she froze. It was not stage fright. It was the sudden, overwhelming awareness that the man who always stood just to her right, behind the camera flashes, was no longer there. She managed a smile and completed her speech, but in the backseat of the car afterward, when her father inquired, "Are you feeling all right?" she simply said, "I miss someone," gazing out the window. That evening, as William and debriefed with, Charlotte's longtime nanny, they learned something astonishing. Despite her composed exterior, the princess still talked to Thomas when she thought no one was listening. This was not a passing fancy, but an emotional lifeline that had only grown in the face of silence. Meanwhile, Thomas too found reminders of Charlotte tucked among his things, a scribbled drawing she had made during a transatlantic flight, a note in his training files declaring, "You are the best ninja ever." One evening, while sorting through mail, he discovered a thick envelope with no return address. Inside were photographs of Charlotte at various engagements standing beside her new guard. On the back of each was penciled a brief inscription, "Still smiling, but not the same." Thomas folded the photos and placed them with the bracelet. In Kensington Palace, Charlotte quietly plotted something of her own. One ordinary Thursday morning, she refused breakfast, retreating under her covers with only a mumbled, "I am not hungry." Concerned, her mother sat by her bedside. "Are you feeling unwell?" she asked. Charlotte shrugged. "I am simply tired," she repeated. Yet recognized that the light had gone out of her daughter's eyes. That evening, the royal couple and discussed their worries. "She is still grieving the loss of Thomas," observed. "She may not say it aloud, but she is not the same." Princess shook her head sorrowfully. "She is holding on to someone who has been erased from her life without warning." Then added unexpectedly, "He misses her too, you know." Shortly thereafter, Prince William placed a discreet phone call. 2 days later, Thomas received an email from the palace. "Would you be open to a private conversation?" On a quiet morning, Charlotte sat cross-legged on her bedroom floor, surrounded by photographs, video clips, and small mementos. A pink laptop, her personal device, monitored but not in real time, rested on her knees. Next to her sat her favorite stuffed bunny, an accomplice in today's mission. Using a private account on an anonymized video platform, Charlotte began assembling a tribute. What started as a simple montage of memories evolved into something far more profound: a farewell. Over several evenings, she refined her creation, adding scanned drawings Thomas had helped her color, clips of laughter among royal gardens, even footage of them building a snowman at Balmoral. She selected a soft piano instrumental and recorded a heartfelt narration. "This is my bodyguard. His name is Tommy. He protected me every single day for 7 years. He made me laugh. He taught me to be brave when I was scared. And one day, he just disappeared." Her voice quivered, so she paused, drew a steadying breath, and continued. "He was not just my bodyguard, he was my friend. And though I am a princess, I do not always feel brave, but he made me feel safe. He made me feel like I could truly be myself." The finishing touch was the bracelet, held in front of the lens as she whispered, "This is for you." For 3 days, the upload sat in draft mode. Charlotte hovered over the publish button, her heart pounding, before closing the tab again. She was not afraid of any consequences, she simply dreaded being misunderstood. In Kent, Thomas sat with Prince William in a discreet on the outskirts of London. "She has not been herself," William admitted. Thomas replied gently, "I did not leave, I was let go." William sighed. "It should not have happened that way. I am truly sorry." They parted with no promises of reinstatement, yet both felt a measure of closure and recognition. Meanwhile, back in her room, Charlotte woke before dawn. The corridors were still silent. Gathering courage, she clicked publish. Overnight, the anonymous tribute video exploded across social media. By midday, it had amassed over 200,000 views. By dinner, over 1.4 million. Viewers were deeply moved by the unguarded honesty in her 9-year-old voice. "He was not just my bodyguard, he was my friend." Royal commentators, child psychologists, former protection officers, and journalists alike praised the depth of her sentiment. Kensington Palace's press office scrambled to trace the source, ultimately confirming that the upload originated from within the palace network. William and were attending a charity gala when the press secretary delivered the news. Froze mid-sentence, William stepped aside, watched the video, and then murmured, "She has just told the world what we should have said long ago." Later that afternoon, as Charlotte quietly colored in her room, her mother arrived holding a tablet. "You have made something truly beautiful." Startled, Charlotte asked, "You saw it?" Knelt beside her. "Not only did I see it, half the world saw it." Charlotte's eyes widened. "Am I in trouble?" Smiled. "No, you were brave." That evening, and William sat with Charlotte as palace advisors drafted an official statement, which was released overnight. "We are deeply moved by the outpouring of support for Thomas, who served our family with unwavering dedication and care for more than 7 years. We are profoundly grateful for his years of protection and the bond he formed with our daughter, Charlotte." The next morning, Thomas's phone chimed incessantly, his security training school inundated with inquiries. He did not respond to the media storm. Instead, he drove to a small florist in Kent and selected a simple bouquet of white daisies, Charlotte's favorite, adding a card that read, "You have always been braver than you know." He left no return address. When the flowers arrived at Kensington Palace, Charlotte placed them by her window and whispered to her bunny, "He remembered." 1 week after the video went viral, the palace arranged something seldom granted: a private, camera-free Sunday morning stroll in the royal gardens. Princess Charlotte, holding her mother's hand, approached a familiar figure by the rose arches. Thomas stood quietly beside a bench, wearing a gray coat and trousers. When he spotted her, his face lit up, though he did not move. Charlotte ran forward and threw her arms around him. "You really came?" she whispered. "Of course I did," Thomas replied. "You called me, did you not?" They walked and talked for 30 minutes, then Charlotte asked, "Do you think they will let you come back?" Thomas paused, choosing his words with care. "I do not believe that matters anymore," he said softly. "We have our goodbye, and that is enough." That night, Charlotte slept peacefully for the first time in weeks, certain that her friend had never forgotten her, and never would.